AI is growing on banking just like it is growing on the rest of the digitalized world. But in banking, the promise comes with pitfalls like regulation, compliance, security, privacy, and customer trust. They keep falling one after another. Banking is a conservative industry for a reason. When people's money is involved, the cost of error is simply too high. So before banks can fully fall for AI, they have to navigate those obstacles. We have already seen deepfake fraud, fake investment campaigns, and AI-generated false information causing real-world damage. Like in Hong Kong, where finance worker was tricked by deepfake video call into authorizing transfers of roughly $25.6 million. In Italy, scammers use AI-generated fake articles, images, and videos with Governor Fabio Panetta
Gorlami
to make bogus investment offers look credible. In UK, Virgin Money made headlines after its chatbot treated the bank's own name, Virgin, as offensive. It's all a reminder that in highly regulated environments, AI fails can quickly become legal and reputational risks. That brings us to this episode's special guest, Margus Simson, someone who has spent years building a fully digital bank and is now facing the next challenge. What it actually takes to bring AI into one of the most tightly regulated, high-trust environments in the world. You've been building the new digital bank for past 6 years, right? Is AI implementation in that your next target?
Well, definitely AI implementation is going to be our next big transformation we need to go through. So far, I would say that in the last 6 years, we have been building basically the bank from the ground up in order to make sure that absolutely every single service and process is 100% digital. No paper, no human in any of those processes, what you do when you use any of the banking services. So you cannot put an AI on top of anything that is non-digital. So if the person is being served in the branch on the paper, then AI is not going to make it any better. Therefore, having a fully digital bank first, or any of the fully digital service, if you would take any service industry, is going to be a mandatory component before you can do anything reasonable with AI on top of that. But AI is definitely coming as the next big thing for us.
And what do you consider to be the biggest challenges in AI implementation?
I would name 3. The first one, I would say that the technology is not ready for the mass use yet, not at least in the service industry. We as regular users from the street, obviously we all use ChatGPT, Claude, whatever is out there, our own preference. But when I think about banks which have very, very strict security and privacy rules, then the service providers really do not meet those things yet. We cannot be 100% sure that the data that will be fed to the AI machine is going to be really only used for that customer service. And this information is only available for the customer and for the bank. We do not want to see any situation where the data about the customer is ending up somewhere in whoever knows whose chat. So this is the kind of bottleneck number 1. Mm-hmm. Technology companies have not been building proper privacy guardrails around AI yet. The second one is the fact that AI tends to still hallucinate. This is a risk. We have a couple of very good examples from the global court systems where chatbots have been hallucinating, giving customers wrong advice, and the companies become liable due to that. Just imagine that that chatbot, for whatever reason, starts giving investment advice or lending advice where customers would lose a lot of money. Would it be something that the banks would be able to accept? I would say that today the technology is not that close to 100% that we would be comfortable with really rolling out full customer-oriented elements. And the third one is about the user adoption. Mm-hmm. When we are looking, for example, investment advisor, giving exactly the same text as an AI would give to the customer, then we see that the customers tend to believe much more the advice that is coming from the human being, even if the text is fully the same. Probably the difference between those two, humans and machine, it will gradually change over the time. And
with generations.
With generations, with solutions maturing, whatever happens, it just takes time for that kind of technological trust to be really there. But as long as it's not there, basically the human beings are still rather going to be in the kind of better situation when they really do give advice to the users as such.
So if we can summarize it, it's like better safe than sorry when it comes to AI implementation in the banking.
Yes, I believe that it is right now still better safe to be than sorry, because when we are looking into the banking as such, banking is all only about the trust. If the customer stops trusting a bank, then the bank will not exist anymore, and it will be a systematic problem somewhere in the system. So as long as we can't be fully confident that the data is safe and the advice is good and 100% solid, I believe that we are going to be somewhat slower mover, at least on those use cases that are oriented towards the end customer. It doesn't say that we cannot do a lot of things inside the system for improving the internal processes, improving the way how we operate and then develop the bank. There is a lot of things that can be done there.
Have your position changed, from builder of the digital bank towards now data protector against AI?
No. I'm still highly optimistic about how much AI is going to change the world in the next 10 to 15 years. It will change a lot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it is going to come, and it is going to massively change the way how the banks operate, how the customers use the financial services. How the customers use whatever services on the market. It's just a question that technology takes time to mature, and it takes time also for the users to adopt the technology. Even though AI has been adopted with the fastest speed ever out of all the technologies that have been emerging in the last 200 years, then in reality there is still a lot of people who have never used that, and they do not know what it is and how it could be useful for their daily lives.
So in 2024, you mentioned that the biggest opportunity for AI in banking is in risk management. Does this still stand?
It still stands. I would say that anything that relates to the transactions and making sure that they are not fraudulent, that one is still very much the case. So that is it the fraud detection system, is it anti-money laundering checks? There is a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes, and AI is definitely helping to identify the transactions that otherwise wouldn't be that clearly visible. The second element seems to be anything oriented to the software development that takes place inside the banks. We have been implementing GitHub Copilot as the developer's helping tool already for the last couple of years. And we see that the amount of time that it takes for the person to create code has come down quite dramatically. Also, it helps to create the testing use cases in other places. So this is one of those things which I would definitely recommend considering for any banking executive that go after the software development part. And probably the third thing is the question of any kind of operations, IT operations, business operations, wherever a lot of people do relatively manual, repeating job. In those cases, AI definitely can help us a lot as well. Maybe less in Komerční banka's case, because in Komerční banka, as already said, all the new digital bank services and processes are 100% digitalized, so there is less of the back office need as such. But for the one traditional company, this is definitely a helpful place to go.
Is there some AI use case now that you see will be highly valuable in the banking environment, but the technology is not there yet? It's not reliable enough?
I believe that in the end, anything that is related to the end user experience. When today you are using 85% of new digital bank users are using mobile bank. 15% are using internet bank. Some people go to the branch as well for some reasons, but that's how the share more or less is. AI is dramatically going to change the way how you experience both those mobile and internet bank solutions. We have not yet, not only we as KB, but I would say that the whole banking market, but also pretty much the whole service market hasn't been able to create new user experiences that would really take the opportunities that AI is providing and rebuild the use cases and the user experience in a way that would be like useful for the customer. Just taking an example, if today you drive a car and your child sits in the back seat and asks for the allowance, let's say 500 Czech crowns, then you have to find your phone, you type it in, it's probably somewhere under saved payments, you push the button, you confirm it, payment is done. Took only maybe 10 seconds, hopefully a bit more when you were driving, but you still had to interact with a screen. In the more modern setup, it could rather happen this way. Child asks the money, you say, KB, can you transfer 500 Czech crowns to my child? It responds, yes, the payment is done, thank you, everything is good. So how do you combine the screen and the kind of like the voice and speech capabilities that the AI will bring into the user experience? In that one, I believe that we are very much in the beginning to see how the interaction between the humans and technology can start to evolve.
Just as a disclaimer, don't drive and operate your digital bank at the same time.
Unless you say that.
Unless it's via audio. You mentioned some risks. You mentioned, for example, the AI hallucination, but there are more, including all those AI scammers that we've seen, US banks, European, Italy banks, and Hong Kong banks to have to deal with. Do you as KB or you as Margus has such experience?
Well, luckily the Czech scammers do not call me much, or maybe they do, but I don't understand. But the Estonians do a lot. There is a lot, let's say, in Estonia, I can see that the scammers are really doing their job very well. Every single day, they're stealing more than €1 million from the people. Mm-hmm. And they are really good at that. AI is helping everybody, both the good guys and the bad guys. So in cybersecurity terms, we clearly understand that the same way as we use AI in order to strengthen our cybersecurity perimeter, the scammers, criminals, whoever, they are going to do the same. What is very important to understand is that we can always say that the regulation does not allow to do this and that. Criminals really don't care about the regulation. I think it's like already given by their job description in a way. So that's the part that they are definitely going to try everything possible to continue making good money. And when I'm looking at how the scams have been growing in all of those European markets, then I think that the market has not been ready for the use of technology as quickly as it has been growing. So it will be a constant battle between the good and the bad in order to create something that we can still provide you service, so you can still trust that, but it takes an effort.
And who's winning? The bad guys or the good guys?
It's always going to be neck to neck. So banks just need to continue massively investing into the capabilities that are needed in order to avoid those scams to take place. And I know also the Czech banks, they are investing a lot into that. Yeah. The weakest link is always a human being, and that one is something where we have seen scams that are so sophisticated that people who are really, they are smart people, they know that stuff, they know that they shouldn't do this and that, and they still do. So it is still about how you can identify that the thing that is happening next to you is real or not. And technology can only do that much.
When you do big changes, implementation, there is usually a drop in customer satisfaction. In your case, client satisfaction. You experience that with digital bank. Do you think that there is something similar? going to happen with any AI implementation on the banking side?
Good question. I don't know the answer. My past tells me that if you are implementing the use case really well, then the customer satisfaction goes up very suddenly. If it's more like a forced change that the customer needs to go through, then yes, there is a long tail of customers who do not want to change. And for them, any change is bad. Just try to move the send payment button from left to the right. You will immediately see how the customers will struggle with even the slightest changes in the user interface. So I think it's very much going to depend. Is it going to provide a real value for the user that they can immediately identify? Then they're going to be happy. And in the other case, when it's rather the kind of forced move, then big portion of the customers is always unhappy with any change that is coming towards them. What I can guarantee, AI is going to change banking the same way as electricity changed the world, as the same way as internet changed the world, the same way as social media changed the world. You can always argue that social media, as an example, it created good things, like brought people more together. The time and effort required to communicate with anybody else has dramatically come down. And it has also created a lot of bad things. For example, erosion of democracy or the kind of fake news that are pretty much everywhere. So AI will do the same. There is going to be good things, which are going to make your life much easier. And there are going to be also bad things, which are going to make criminals' lives much easier, or our dependency on the technology becomes much bigger. What I know is that banking is going to be dramatically different 10 years from now. Banks need to invest massive amount of money into technology and AI in order to keep the standard at the desired level. But is it going to be that or that or that thing? That one is really difficult to define today.
So do you have any recommendation for the companies how they should be working with customers right now?
I would say that I have like two advices to give to the companies, what to consider. First, any company who is in the end user market, banks, telcos, whoever basically is providing anything for the end user, you have to seriously rethink how the user experience is going to look like in the AI world. People love visual confirmation, so they still need a screen. But at the same time, they want things to happen by naturally speaking, naturally interacting with somebody. As an example brought already with payments, pay 50 euros to my child. That's the kind of natural sentence that you can say. And this is the kind of combination that we all need to think through, how the user experience, combination of the screen, the audio feedback and everything else is working in combination of together. The second part, and that one applies mostly to the companies who are less on the end user part, but they still want to provide services to other companies, also to the end users. AI is going to take away big chunk of your work today. Are you producing content? Are you producing software? AI is going to help to make a lot of those parts happen magically and very quickly. So the money that you charge today per hour from the customer, that money is going to disappear. So what is the extra value that you as a company actually provide to your customer? That one has to be rethought as well, because if your value is marginal or very simplistic, that one is going to disappear. Your value is going to be in something that the AI cannot offer. So if the question was how the banking will change in 5 years, maybe not 5, but in 10 years, the world will operate differently. Some companies stay, some employees still have a job, and some don't. Especially those who were not able to change the way how they were behaving so far. which ones are going to succeed, which ones not. I let stock market and prediction markets to decide on that.
What is the biggest bottleneck in kind of pursuing this AI future?
User adoption is always going to be a bottleneck. User adoption can be, in a simplified term, put in this way. 20% are eager to use whatever is new on the market. The other 20% don't want to hear about anything new whatsoever. And the middle ground, 60%, they just use whatever is the most popular thing at the given moment. They move whenever something useful is there. Technology needs to evolve. That one is clear. Because, as already discussed earlier, it has been really difficult for the companies to go into the very widespread AI adoption because of technological privacy security limitations. At the same time, the mass user of the market is also not there yet. They don't know much yet what AI is and how it can bring value for them. And they are not going to figure out on their own the kind of how I can potentially use it. They want some company to prepare it, package it, show it to them, explain to them, and then they start using it happily. And that's the case where I'm saying that the user experience, the renewed user experience, is very much needed because the customers will start using it as soon as some company is making a breakthrough and starts offering the service in a way that is now only possible thanks to AI and wasn't possible before. So I would put the bigger pressure on the companies to innovate because they also have to, in order to survive on the market, in order to gain the market, they have to go into the territories and to the user experience that have not been able to be provided by the legacy companies as such. But it's nothing new. It has happened with the introduction of computers, with the introduction of internet, introduction of mobile phone. So this is just another technology in the long list of things that have been happening with us over the last 40 years.
The first takeaway is that serious AI adoption in highly regulated environments is less and less about the latest innovations and more about the ecosystem readiness. Enterprise AI success depends on strong digital foundations and well-defined processes. In banking, where regulation is strict and customer expectations are super high, mistakes are expensive. But the ecosystem readiness at some point is needed at all companies, not just in the regulated ones. Another thing is that the AI story in banking is splitting into two very different tracks. On one side, banks are finding real value in areas like fraud detection, software development, and routine operations, where results are measurable and risk is easier to control. On the other side, customer-facing use cases are moving much more slowly, because that is where the real bottlenecks show up: privacy, hallucination, and trust. But the lesson isn't wait until AI is perfect. The lesson is to sequence adoption properly, start where the output is clear and controllable, and move much more carefully where the institution has to stand behind every interaction. Another Margus's point reaches far beyond the banking sector and strikes deep into consulting business. AI is weakening many old business models, like selling time and manual execution. If delivery gets faster and cheaper, the question becomes, what is the customer still paying for? The winners will be the companies that move from hours to outcomes. And we hear that clearly at Actum Digital too. We are redesigning our work around outcomes, not just hours. Combining the speed AI brings with the expertise, accountability, business context that clients still need from people.
AI isn't a monster, it's a Monstera. If AI content interests you, follow AI Monstera for more.